Good morning, kings and queens. Let's begin today with a little bit of breath work. So we're going to breathe in through our nose, and as we breathe out through our mouth, we're going to blow very, very gently, as though you had a little feather dancing in front of you and you just wanted to be able to move up and down. So nice, long, deep breath in, slow breath out, having that little feather dance. So I invite you to just soften your gaze or close your eyes down. Take the breath in through your nose, down to your belly, perhaps pausing for a moment or two, and then blowing out gently. And then breathing in. And that gentle blow out. And breathing in again. And we pause and blowing out. And then we tuck our chins. We begin this day in gratitude, and we open our hearts and we surrender to love. We ask love to lead the way through the minutes and the hours of this new day. We welcome joy, fun, and abundant prosperity. We recognize that all encounters are wholesome and that all experiences can be met with a peaceful heart that is anchored in the truth that we are one, we are love, and we are free. And so we release these words and we let it be. We'll move on to lesson 71. Lesson 71 is only love's plan for salvation will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Only Source's plan for freedom will work. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. Since it is the opposite of God's or love's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course. Yet, after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it may be, you do believe in it. So, for me, this sort of really explains that difficulty that we all have in just going with the flow, in, not having plans of our own that the ego has set up, in leaving it to God, in that surrendering to love that we do with our prayer every morning. And trusting that love will lead the way. They say that Mary Magdalene got to France in a boat with no oars, that she left Egypt and asked love to lead the way, and she arrived in the south of France. And so this is sort of what we're being invited to do here, and to recognize that we don't trust, and so we make up our own plans. And they say that a healed mind doesn't plan. So we are in opposition in a way to going with the flow and trusting the process of life and trusting that everything is for us and that the universe has got our back and that there is a higher purpose to all that transpires. And so we come in with our little plans. Again, not all of this is done consciously until now. So, when you begin to realize these things, this is where you're awakening, and bringing things that were in the darkness or in the subconscious to the forefront of your mind to become more aware. So the ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, or if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. I love this because I kind of always think when we want to change another person or fix another person, like we could change that into other words by saying like, I don't like the shape of you. I don't like the way you're showing up in the world. It doesn't fit for me. So would you mind changing? Because it's making me unhappy. And we shirk off all responsibility when we want to shape people into something that suits us. Could you move over there because that would suit me a little bit better? Could you show up a little bit different because that would suit me better? And it becomes very much about me, So thus the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside yourself. If things were different, I would be different, my life would be different, I'd have more peace. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. So we move into that place of blame, we move into that place of looking outside ourselves, and we don't realize that it's in here that the change is necessary, that shift in consciousness. The role assigned to your own mind in this plan then is simply to determine what, other than itself, must change if you are to be saved. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of salvation is acceptable, provided it will not work. So, we stay stuck, we stay in the drama, and we kind of become addicted to it. There's something very familiar about being confused and sort of saying, oh, I don't know, and I don't know what I want. And there's a sort of a shirking off in that, but there's also a safety in that for the ego, a seeming safety. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusion persists that although this hope has always failed, there is still grounds for other hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better, another situation will yet offer success. And that reminds me of Einstein's theory, where he said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So such is the ego's plan for salvation. Surely you can see how it is in a strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine: seek but do not find. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation than to channelize all your efforts in search for it where it is not? So always looking without, not looking within. God's plan, or love's plan for salvation, works simply because by following God's direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek there only. Seek you first the kingdom of love, and all the gifts will be added on. Otherwise, your purpose is divided, and you will attempt to follow two plans for salvation that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. How can you escape all this? Very simply. The idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan, only love's plan for salvation and for peace will work. There can be no real conflict about this, because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. God's is the only plan that is certain in its outcome. It is the only plan that must succeed. Let us practice recognizing this certainty today, and let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible with God. And I'm just going to say, all things are possible with love. Love heals everything. Salvation must be yours because of love's plan, which cannot fail. Begin the 2 longer practice periods for today by thinking about today's idea and realizing that it contains two parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. God's plan for your salvation will work and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. And in the first is your release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led to depression and anger, but God's plan will succeed. It will lead to release and joy. And you know, our plans often lead to like a very temporary release and a joy that lasts a moment or two, but not to consistent peace. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're longing for, to know ourselves as love while we're in a body. So remembering this, let us devote the remainder of the extended practice periods to asking God to reveal God's plan to us. Ask God very specifically, and I love this prayer, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Give God full charge of the rest of the practice period, and let God tell you what needs to be done by you in their plan for your salvation. God will answer in proportion to your willingness to hear love's voice. Refuse not to hear. The very fact that you are doing the exercises proves that you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to God's answer. In the shorter practice periods, tell yourself often that God's or love's plan for salvation, and only this will work. Be alert to all temptation to hold grievances today and respond to them with this form of today's idea. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only God's plan or love's plan will work. Try to remember today's idea some 6 or 7 times an hour. There could be no better way to spend a half a minute or less than to remember the source of your salvation and to see it where it is. So we're going to go into our practice period with these questions. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? So this is a prayer that I use, I would say, almost every day of my life at some point during the day. Sometimes I do it first thing in the morning, but sometimes it's later on in the day. And I particularly use it if I feel stuck in any way. You know, I might change the word slightly to, you know, what's my next move? What would you have me do right now? Is there anything more I need to know? But always, always consulting with Spirit, with the divine within myself before I make any move. So let's do it. Let's go into meditation, curious and with questions. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And if you want to apply it even to a particular situation that you feel stuck with right now, just recognize that only God's plan will work. Only love is going to get you out of this, whatever it is, you know, any confusion you might have in your life. And just ask those questions. Okay, so let's close our eyes down. Let's settle and get comfortable in our seats. And drop your awareness down to your sacred heart. And just be present and be in the knowing that only the divine source within you knows what's best for you. Excuse me. ready, gently opening your eyes. I hope you enjoy using this prayer. It's really powerful, and you'll never be led astray when you tap into your higher self, the love that you are. My heart to yours. Take care.